Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sage Advice. This is a series where I share with you some of the mistakes that I made on my long journey on the road of self-publishing in hopes that it will help you and prevent you from making the same mistakes and make your journey a little bit less bumpy than mine was. In today's episode, we are actually going to be talking about book subscription boxes. We're going to go over what they are, some of my tips for how to get into one, and if you do get into one, what you should be aware of, and just things to note if this is part of your plan for marketing and promoting your books. So stay tuned and we'll be right back with that. Hello, magical friends. I am back in my weird little throne chair. And as I said in the intro, we are talking about book subscriptions boxes today on another episode of Sage Advice. And I'm starting to really like the series because I realize there's a lot of things I did wrong on my journey in self-publishing. So I'm making a list, and I think we're going to have a lot more of these little videos to come, which I'm very excited about. If you're into this kind of video, make sure you're subscribed, that you have the bell notification on so that you know when new episodes come out. Before we start, since I didn't say this in the intro, but my name is Vanessa, and I write under the pen name of A.N. Sage. I write in young adult for the most part, some new adult, but mostly YA. And I write fantasy, sci-fi, and pretty much anything that's kind of twisted, paranormal, and a little bit magic infused. So book subscription boxes. I'm sure you've seen these around. If you haven't, I just want to talk quickly about what a book subscription box is before we get into the nitty-gritty of it. So what it is exactly in the name. It's a subscription box that people subscribe to, and they get boxes in the mail once a month, once every quarter, depending on how the company makes them. And inside the box, you would usually have either just books tailored to a specific genre. There's some boxes that let you pick the genre you're in that you want to receive, and some boxes that are just specifically tailored to one genre. I've seen a lot of fantasy around. Those seem to be very, very popular amongst people. There's some that tailor just to teen and young adult. There's some that do mystery, romance. There's a whole bunch of them out there. If you just Google book subscription box, I'm sure you'll find a ton. And they range in prices. Some are as low as $20 a month, and some can go up to $65, $70 even. The ones that are higher priced, they usually have more than just books inside. They have swag. Some of them that get specific books that they work with track publishers a lot, they would get artists to draw different swag. They have candles specifically tailored to the books, bookends, all this kind of stuff. So it depends on which subscription box you are subscribed to. How many times can I say subscription in one sentence? A lot in this episode, I think. But it depends on which one you subscribe to. You might get a whole bunch of swag for your shelfie pictures or just to put on your shelf if you like that kind of stuff. So why these are good for authors? So the first and most obvious reason is, of course, marketing. They offer a lot of good marketing exposure for authors, as some of them would have, there's big boxes out there that would have thousands of readers that subscribe and receive these boxes, some that are smaller, but either way, you are getting a whole different level of reader. These are readers that like paperbacks. These are not necessarily the Kindle hunters or anybody that just reads ebooks. These people a lot of times take really great photos of the book they receive. They post them on social media. They're very excited about these boxes. So you're getting a very hungry audience. And that's why they are very good to tap into if that's kind of the route that you want to take. At least that's what I was thinking when I started looking into getting one of my books into a subscription box, which I did. And we'll talk about some of the mistakes a bit later. So if you are thinking about this, how do you get into a book subscription box? If you obviously have an agent, that's something they can do for you. But if you're fully indie, not hybrid, then you're going to have to do everything yourself. The best way really is just to reach out to people. Make a list, go through all the ones available out there, go through their website, see if they have an open call to submit. A lot of them do. They'll tell you exactly what they want. You have to think of this basically as like you would be if you were querying an agent. So you want to make sure that your blurb is on point, your cover is on point. If it's a book that's just coming out, you have to show them all these things, entice them into why your book would be fitting for their audience. At the end of the day, they are a business, and so they're thinking of their readers and what they would like, and they're also thinking of how they can theme the rest of the box to your book. So if you're writing the email, when I did mine, I actually came up with some fun ideas that might be good because I was pitching Cartega to some of these boxes. So essentially make a list and just start emailing. Don't bombard people. You can follow up a bit later on if they don't respond. Maybe wait like 3 weeks or so. They get busy, especially if they're during a shipping date. They're very busy packing everything, making sure everything goes out. So give them some time to respond. These are busy people. A lot of them are just run by a single person or just a small team. So be patient with them, and definitely reach out ahead of time. So if you have a book that's coming out that you want to start pitching to book subscription boxes, make sure that you have at least 5 months, if not 6, 7, 8, to kind of give yourself time, give the book subscription box time to get it out there and finalize that date. Because trust me, when it starts going, a lot of things will come up you probably wouldn't have thought of, and they take time to do. So you want to be on top of it. If it's a book that's new and just released, just make sure that the way you're presenting your book, the same way that you would be to your readers, just make sure that everything is really crystal clear, that your cover is good. This is really where professional covers come into play, because a lot of these boxes will want something that is visually attractive, since most people would want to take pictures with their books, they want to share it on social, and so you want something that does look professional and well done. When you get, so let's say you're pitching, you will probably get an email back from some of the interested parties. They will ask you for a copy of your book. Sometimes it's a physical copy, sometimes it's a digital copy. So you will send them that copy, they'll read it, and then if they're still interested, then you kind of get the ball rolling. And they will, at this point, they will also let you know how many books they're looking for, how many books they're looking to send out, and you can finalize these details. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you have any, talk to them. These are just people like you and me. And so they're very open to conversation. A lot of them are, like most of them, all of them, I would say. I haven't talked to all of them, but the ones that I've spoken to are absolutely lovely people. They're great to speak to, and they're just real book lovers. So just make sure that you ask all the questions that you have ahead of time to avoid making mistakes, which we're getting to now. So what are some things that you want to consider before you start this book box application journey? Or if you already had one contact you and you're starting your process of working with them and submitting your books into one of their boxes, you want to think about your discount price. This is a really big one. So here, this is where we come into one of my many mistakes. So I got into a book box subscription. I got in with Cartega, and I am extremely happy. It was such a beautiful box. I'm so happy all the products that were like themed to the actual theme of that month and to my book were fantastic. And I got to meet new readers, and I got some really beautiful photographs from the entire process that I still share on my social media. But I didn't consider discount price. And so the subscription box that I ended up going out with was not the first one that I had contacted and had contacted me back. The first one that I didn't get into was a much more popular, bigger scale box. And when they came back to me and asked me what my discount price would be, I had no idea, right? Because I didn't do my research. I just kind of went for it passionately. I was really excited. But I didn't think about this. And so the discount price that I told them I could do was much too low. You want to discount your books somewhere between 40 and 60% off, really, because that is kind of the wholesale price. Usually the wholesale price for retail stores is around 55%. But if you really want to get into one, you might want to up that. You will not be making money off of the subscription box. You will probably be breaking even on a good day, or spending money, really. So it depends on whether or not you want to spend that money, or the time, if you're breaking even, for free marketing in a way. Free if you're breaking even, I guess. But you want to think about that discount price carefully, and you want to think about who you're printing with. At the time, my books were all printed through Ingram Spark. And I did not do my calculations properly, or I tried to, and there wasn't enough information. And Ingram Spark had like abysmal customer service at the time, and I couldn't get a hold of them. And so nobody told me that the higher up you go in the quantity of books that you order, the less it's going to cost you to print them. And so if you go 1,000 and up, right, which a lot of these subscription boxes will ask for, you get to print the books cheaper. And so you can actually either offer them a better discount to entice them to take your book on, or that discount price, that difference, will cover shipping, which we'll talk about in a second. And so I didn't think of that. And so when other boxes started to contact me, I had already figured that out. But unfortunately, they did not meet a good enough threshold. They had lesser quantities. And so I wasn't able to even offer them like a killer discount price. And I ended up paying out of pocket a little bit in the end, because I just really wanted to work through the experience and see what it's all about. So consider your discount price. I'd recommend probably sticking to at least like 50% off per book, but check in with who is printing your books to see what you can get if you order crates of books, essentially. So shipping is another big one that you want to think about, because to ship a crate of books or several crates of books is very, very expensive. So either you work that into your price when you quote the subscription box, or you're going to pay that out of pocket. And so just as an example from mine, I think in the end, we end up going just under 400 books, I think was the total. And that's a couple of crates, the way that Ingram Spark had it worked out. And the shipping price on that was about $500. That's a lot. It's not a small amount, right? That's a custom cover, if not several. So you have to think about that. Now, because I already had made the mistake of not figuring out originally how much I could offer each book for, I ended up not including the shipping in the final price of the discount. Because if I had included the shipping in the final price of the discount, because of the low amount of books that were being ordered, it would cost way too much per book, and it wouldn't fit within the budget of the subscription box. Because like I said before, they're a business too, right? I really like the subscription box. I like their readership. The person, the editor of the box, really loved my book. And so I was really excited to work with them. And so I ended up paying that shipping price out of my own pocket. So I broke even essentially on the books, and paid an extra $500, which as a marketing expense is not a lot, really, if you think about it. We spend that on ads like monthly, probably, if not more. Obviously on ads you spend more, but it's, it's a lot to, like, especially when you are just starting out, or you have a very limited budget. And you could think of like, okay, so it's $500 to ship books, or $500 to drop on like Facebook or Amazon ads. Like, which one yields better results? Because of where I was at the time, and I was really set on getting into a box, I kind of sucked it up and paid the shipping. So another thing to consider is how you're going to sign these. So a lot of, and this goes back to shipping too, a lot of boxes will want a signed copy, which means that if you do drop shipping, as most indie publishers do, you do not have like 1,000 copies of your books on hand. So now you're going to have to pay the shipping for your print-on-demand distributor to send the copies of the books to you. Figure out where you're going to store like 1,000 books. Move out for a bit, put them in a hotel, I don't know. Sign all those, and then pay for shipping again to ship those books over to wherever they're going. And the shipping quotes that you will probably get going through your local postal services will be higher than what the distributor quotes, because they have enterprise deals with postal services, right? So you're looking at doubling up on that shipping price if the subscription box that you are dealing with wants you to hand sign every single book plus your time, right? So that's one of the questions you should probably ask, is how they're looking to go about that. To avoid that, some will let you give them a signed bookplate. My subscription box that I ended up going with did offer the option for me to have a signed bookplate. And so what I did was that I had Ingram Spark send the books over to their warehouse for them to package everything and ship. And I, on my end, got bookplates done. I signed those and I just sent those. Those are much cheaper, obviously, to send because they're just stickers. And then the last thing you might want to think about is some of the subscription boxes that I was talking to prior to settling on the one that I did were inquiring about limited edition covers. You'll see this a lot, like Owlcrate does this all the time. Well, they have limited edition covers specifically for their box, right? If you're a trad published book, that's a lot easier to do. There's a whole team who could just do it. But if you're indie, now you're thinking about paying for another cover done, a separate custom limited edition cover done. You have to upload that cover if you're with Ingram Spark. Also upload it, figure out how to ship it, print it so that it doesn't go up for sale. So now the shippings are doubled up, right? Because they have to come to you first and to them, like it's a whole thing. Or if you're doing like book box stamps, some of them might not want a limited cover, but they'll say like, can you do a custom cover just for us, like a limited edition? Or can we add made for this book box, like those stamps that you would see sometimes in books, onto the cover you currently have? Either way, you are looking at setting up and putting together an entire new packaged book, right? So that's something to think about as well. The subscription box that I ended up going with did not have that as a requirement. That is why I chose them, because I already knew that I was going to lose money on the shipping. But the first one that I really wanted to get into as well, there's a few I really wanted. Of course, they're all wonderful. They were inquiring about having a limited edition cover. So I guess in a way, because if I figured out the pricing properly and there was more books going out, I could have done it based on my own mistake that I didn't catch quite in time. And it would work out because I do design all my own covers, being a cover designer. But still, if you're not in that position, that's an extra cost as well. So you kind of want to make a list of everything it might cost you. When when a subscription box contacts you, emails you back, you guys start a rapport, make sure you're asking so many questions, more than you think is necessary, because you don't want anything to come back and like bite you in the butt after, like it did me, right? So I think that's pretty much all I have on this topic for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We got some snow here overnight, which is very odd for April. So it's a little bit chilly here, so I'm all like bundled up and stuff. So I hope it's warmer where you are. And if it's not, I guess we can all build a snowman at the end of April together. So have a great weekend, guys. I will see you next week for another episode. Make sure that you comment below. Let me know how you felt about this. And then also let me know if you're thinking about going down the book subscription box journey and which ones you're looking at. Because if I have any tips, I can email you, contact you in any way and help you out. So always happy to help other authors on their journey. And stay magical. And I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.